Let's play some scales. So here's C major. I'm going to do all the 2-octave scales. Basically, the guitar has 2 octaves in every position, right? Here's the first octave, E, and then E, and then E, right? So that would be first octave, second octave. I always like to start with a C chord because everybody really, most of us know that chord. So you can just play a C major scale from C to C, and that would be like this: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Right, and that fits pretty much within the pocket of playing that chord. The next thing is to play the low notes. So you can start on a C and walk down to an E. So that would be C, B, A, G, F, E, right? And that's going to give you those low notes. Then you can start on a C and go up to a G if you want. The way I learned these scales, I was just told to play 2 octaves, right? The guy I learned from is Haque. He's an amazing guitar player and educator. Studied with him at NIU in DeKalb, Illinois, and he basically just said, just do 2 octaves, so I would do. Right? I think for every lesson, our goal for tempo, do 1/8 notes at 120. Alright, so I'm doing alternate picking. That's going to help me stay with the beat. If I had to do all downs, I can still do it at that tempo, but the faster the tempo gets, it's going to be pretty much impossible to keep up. So you got to learn how to do down, up, down, up, down, up, right? Picking, you just want to use a little bit of wrist, maybe a little bit of your arm as well, but really picking, you don't need to use your arm all that much. The next position is G to G. I'm going to skip F to F because that's the same notes, same position as E to E, so let's go to G to G. G to G. Here we go. Let's break that down. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You don't have to sing the note while you play, but I find that it helps learning the scale to be able to do that and recognize each note. And then obviously you can take it backwards as well. G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G. Next pattern. Basically follow that formula. Notice I'm using my pinky a lot. That's so I can stay in the position. If I had to use third finger, like it's doable, but it's not ideal. So you want to learn how to use that pinky. Next one, B to B. basically the same as C to C. Then we have D to D. That's our last one. So they're really pretty, they're really fun to mess around with. If you learn 2 octaves, then you basically get all of the possibilities of that scale. There's just 7 notes. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, but there's a lot of different positions, 5 different positions technically that you can play that in on the guitar neck, and that's going to give you different fingering patterns. It's going to give you different licks and melodies that are going to pop out at you, and each different position is going to lend itself to different notes that feel good and that sound good in that position. If you learn all 5 of those, I say 5 because there's really 7 of them, but 2 of them are combined. So E and F. And F. So those are kind of the same one, right? Same thing with the B and the C patterns that I showed you, B to B and C to C. So where does that leave us? We've learned the entire neck in 1 key. From there, I mean, there's 11 more keys, right? If you go through the circle of fifths, you have C, then you have G, then you have D, A, E, B, right? So that's basically just going in fifths. C up a fifth to G, up a fifth to D, or down a fourth to D, up a fifth to A to E, B, F sharp, C sharp. And then the flat side would be going the opposite direction. So you go down a fifth or up a fourth. So that would be C going to F, going to B flat, going to E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat. All right, so that's going to give you basically 12 keys that you can play. It doesn't make sense to try to learn a scale unless it's related to another scale in some way, if it has some of the same notes. And you want to get as many of the same notes as you can. That way you only have to change 1 note when you go from key to key. So a good example would be if you go from C to G, all you have to do is just make the Fs into F sharps. And this is something that Fareed showed me, and it kind of opened my mind to how the keys are related and how they fit on the guitar in a way that's easy to learn and easy to think about. Because now I only have, if I've learned C, I only have to do one thing. I have to change Fs to F sharps, and then I have a whole new key, right? And then if you change the G scale, which has F sharp, to a D scale, D major, then you would change the C natural to a C sharp. And that's going to give you the key of D major, and so on and so forth. So every time you learn a scale, you're just changing 1 note at a time. And eventually, by doing that slowly, you can learn all 12 keys. You can learn them in every position. And there's so many things that you could use that for. It's limitless, truly limitless. And just going to open up even more doors and opportunities. Hope that helps you guys. Have fun learning your scales and keep practicing.